Is the Supreme Court going to let them change all the health rules that the FDA requires for other drugs to advance an abortion agenda? Moving on to another hot topic, which is abortion. Now, the left suffered a major catastrophic defeat from their perspective, with the Supreme Court finally following the Constitution and overturning Roe versus Wade, which overrode the laws of most states in mandating abortion on demand, meaning throughout the entire 9 months of pregnancy for any reason. As long as you can get a doctor to do it, you could get an abortion. And even after Roe was overturned, the left has continued to promote that extreme point of view, because most Americans, I want abortion eliminated as best as the law is able to do that. But even Americans who don't share my views, that aren't, don't have that full, that have that most, broad view of the right to life for the unborn, they think there has to be some restrictions on abortion, right? But that's not what the left believes. They want abortion up until the 9 months, up until birth, with taxpayer funding. And I don't, my understanding is virtually no Americans support that, or very few Americans support it. And one of the ways they want to bypass states that have tried to extend the right to life to the unborn is by pushing this, an abortion pill, which is notoriously political in its approval process, which has been notoriously politicized by the left-wing controlled FDA. It first was legalized, so to speak, under the the Clinton administration. Hillary was a big pusher of it. Judicial Watch uncovered all of this. And despite the risk of it, back then it was called RU46. Today it's popularly known as Mifeprex or Mifepristone. And then Obama came in, kind of overwrote and changed the rules to expand its use in a way that put women, pregnant mothers, at risk. And then Biden doubled down on it. And so there have been challenges, to the initial approval way back when under Clinton, but then to the changes that expanded it to have an abortion pill, looks like everywhere, even in violation potentially of federal law, under Obama and Biden. And so that's what the Supreme Court was considering this week. And we filed an amicus brief on the case because we've been investigating RU46 since the Clinton administration. And we highlighted how the FDA violated its own unambiguous regulations. The judiciary's default position of bestowing undue deference on federal agencies has led to the rise of an unelected fourth branch of government that touches every aspect of our lives. These federal agencies wield budgets in the hundreds of billions of dollars with little to no oversight. In 2000, the FDA harnessed the executive power from a political administration with a personal agenda bent on approving the drug Mifepristone, Mifeprex, which I guess is the commercial name, which intentionally ends the life of a prenatal human. In approving the drug, the FDA violated its own unambiguous regulation and relied on pretext. The FDA's actions, as I say, under Obama in 2016 and then Biden in 2021, were arbitrary and capricious and violated the Administrative Procedures Act. And so, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm on thinner ice here than I'm already during most of these updates, I laughingly say. It's the law that governs administrative procedures and how regulations are issued, and the public's interactions with the agencies before they issue regulations. So that's what the Administrative Procedures Act is. It's a very important law in terms of allowing challenges under law to federal regulations and changes in, for instance, the FDA's case, the expansion of the availability of the drug in a way that placed women's lives at risk and health at risk. The FDA significantly revised the labeling and risk evaluation and mitigation strategy in 2016 and reduced the safety requirements. That was under Obama. These changes included significantly altering dosage, removal of the follow-up medical visit requirement, removal of the requirement to take the drug in a doctor's office, and expansion of the use through 70 days gestation. 70 days gestation. I mean, the left had no problem with giving pregnant mothers this drug, and they'd suffer through the resulting chemical abortion at home. Look at the nightmare around that, in addition to the obvious health risks. Just think of it. Also of significance and concern, the FDA modified, as I say, the risk evaluation and mitigation strategy to require reporting of only deaths attributable to the drug. No longer would hospitalizations, transfusions, or other serious adverse events need to be reported. Boy, it sounds a lot like their approaches on vaccines, or at least the vaccine for COVID. It's the same crowd, same contempt for health, same contempt for science. So they wanted to mask the adverse events associated with the abortion pill, saying anything short of death they don't want to hear about. I mean, that's how crazed they are. The FDA's asserted rationalization for these significant changes was that it was following the science. And as we know, they haven't provided the science that followed that could reasonably explain the changes. Through a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit, Judicial Watch recently uncovered that at least 6 abortion pill-related deaths between 2000 and 2002 were detailed in Health and Human Services records. Make no mistake, as I say in the release, this is a dangerous drug. We've known since its inception that the abortion drug is potentially dangerous to the mothers, as well as the intended victims, obviously, the poor unborn babies. Extremist abortion politics in the Clinton, Obama, and now Biden administration are putting pregnant mothers at risk. Let's hope the Supreme Court recognizes that an extremist abortion agenda has overcome the rule of law at the FDA. So I don't know how the Supreme Court's going to rule. Obviously, we still have a lot of Mifepristone questions out there under FOIA and such, and we've gone through, we have extensive records about how that drug has been handled. And I encourage you to look at the records because they're going to shock you. And you're going to wonder why it is they're so desperate to have women kill their unborn babies at home using this kill pill, as I call it. And is the Supreme Court going to let them change all the health rules that the FDA requires for other drugs to advance an abortion agenda? Now, I don't know how the Supreme Court's going to rule. There's a big issue about the standing of the plaintiffs, whether they had sufficient harm. So that may be kind of one way for the court to avoid the underlying issue. And but either way, we have to kind of stand against this. By the way, federal law prohibits mailing abortifacients. That's another inconvenient truth that the government is avoiding, the Biden administration specifically. So you may be pro-choice on abortion, but I suspect you might be suspicious of, even if you are pro-choice, of the Biden administration's extremism of promoting this pill that just take 5 minutes and look up how the pill operates and how chemical abortions are done through this method, and you'd be thinking, what this is something that's not good, not right, and dangerous. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.